Hey America, I'm Ranting Richie, and this week I'm going to talk about our voting process. Now, voting is the most important right, or should I say privilege, that we have in this country. If the people do not elect our leaders, then we have a chance of losing all of our rights. So our voting process must be strong and true without fault. Now, years ago, when I was a young man and I used to have hair, the voting process was pretty simple. You know, I come from a small New England town. There was no use of having to show an ID because everybody knew who you were. I mean, I'm talking 4 generations of the same families living in the town. In fact, the first time I went out and bought rolling papers, my dad knew about it before I got home. Now, is that small or what? I mean, so anyways, when I used to go vote, I used to go to our polling station, and there'd be a little old lady behind a table, and she would ask you your name and address. She would cross your name off a list and hand you a ballot. You would go vote, go back to the table to another old lady. She would cross your name off a list, and then you would deposit into a locked ballot box, always present by a police officer. Now, between the police officer and the old lady, it was pretty tough to get away with any kind of fraud. Now, the police officer was nothing. It was the old ladies you had to worry about. You remember those sweet little old ladies in their cardigan sweater? Yeah, sweet old ladies, my ass. They'd be the first ones to beat the shit out of you if you even thought you were doing something wrong. I mean, these girls were from World War I era. I mean, they made me nervous. I went to Catholic school, and they were worse than some of the nuns. You know, now our voting process has been turned into a joke. I mean, look what's going on. It's not like the old days anymore. People need to start showing an ID when they vote. This is the most important issue that this country needs to address to prevent voting fraud. I'd like to hear one good reason, one legitimate good reason, why this shouldn't become law. I mean, think about it. You got the mail-in ballots. You got the early voting ballots where you can go to the mall and vote while you're buying shoes, or you can go to the polls. And all you need is a name and address. I mean, it's easier to commit voting fraud than it is to cheat at Candyland with your 5-year-old, which I used to do all the time. I hated losing. My son's ruined. He never won one game. Then in 2008, we had these guys dressed up in military garb with batons in front of a polling station. I mean, these guys look like Castro hired them. You know, someone should have told them, you know what, Halloween was 2 days ago. And where were the cops where all this is going down? Then the feds don't do nothing to these guys. They slap them on the wrist. I thought it was a law that you had to be so many feet from a polling station for any reason at all. So I guess if Don Corleone is running for office, he can have Michael, Sonny, and Fredo in front of the polling station with Nurse Ratchet behind them in case you need medical help. And that would be okay, right? Wrong. Then we get this Al Franken joke where they got to do a recount. And this guy's got ballots in his trunk that they forgot. Ballots in your trunk that you forgot? What is this guy, some kind of idiot? I mean, who hired this guy? Acorn? They ought to look in this guy's trunk again. They might find Jimmy Hoffa. Then I hear on the news that we're having a hard time getting our military their ballots on time. Now, is that a crime or what? Especially our military. So I can take a package and send it over to Hong Kong overnight, and they can get it by 10 o'clock the next morning, but they can't get our military their ballots on time? I mean, who's in charge of this deal? Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh? And then we got the electronic voting problem. The machines don't work properly. Let me think. We can send a cruise missile 800 miles away into some guy's bathroom window while he's reading the paper, or my navigation system in my car can tell me where I am anywhere in this country within 10 feet, and they can't make an electronic voting machine work? I mean, who's making this thing? Mattel? I know who's making this thing. It's the guys who are making the slot machines. That's the guys. They set it to anything they want. Last of all, we need to have at least one police officer at every polling station. So I say to America, let's get our shit together and do something to prevent voting fraud. My name's Ranting Richie. You can see me on my website, rantingrichie.com. And God bless America.